Me. So happy Tuesday, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to the month of June 2025. We finished our series last call about summer trends, and we're starting a new kickoff call today talking about myths. Hi James, and if you see me with my hair wet, it's not, and like barely any makeup. I mean, Instagram and TikTok, you have filters. You guys in Zoom are seeing the real deal. It's not that much different. It's a little bit different. It's because I got late. I was in the shower and I lost track of time. I didn't even dry my hair. So this is what you get when you do live. You get real. You get realness. There's no. Oh, how my arm's great. So we're gonna start. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. I'm not gonna pay much attention to Instagram or TikTok, but we're gonna hear on Zoom. So if you wanna have your questions answered, you need to go to Zoom and you need to get on my list and understand how it works. Okay. So we're going to start this new series talking about polemics, talking about myths, fitness myths, because there's a lot of controversy around. And the reason why I got that idea was because recently I had a video going viral for the first time, which kind of like scary, kind of, j'adore new Fabian, but kind of like fun because it reminds me of how little people know about so many deep topics regarding fitness. I've been in this industry for many, 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 many years, basically all my life. And you start forgetting how some things that people just don't know or they're not aware. So I feel like, we need to bring some light into topics. And I decided to talk about GLP-1 because it goes kind of aligned of what we talked last month, summer shreds. Everybody's on the drug, everybody's taking it, everybody's talking about it. So we're probably not going to be able to cover everything in this call. We're probably going to have to make next week call about this again. But hey, let's go. Let's make it happen. So I'm going to start with a little bit back end history. And remember, just full disclosure, I'm a certified personal trainer. I did not do an online course in America, even though I did that too. But actually have a college degree in physical education. That is a major in Brazil. I went to University of Brazil in my hometown. It's a 4-year degree. We study anything anatomy, physiology, kinesiology, physiology, exercise physiology. Like we go in depth. And although that's probably almost 2 decades ago, oh Lord, not 2 decades, like 15 years. But yeah, like I know some stuff. Having said that, I'm not an expert in peptides. I'm starting to dabble in that world. And for those of you who don't know, GLP-1 is a peptide. Um, so I'm not an expert. This is not medical advice. This is not even, how can I say, professional advice from a personal trainer. I'm going to share my experience, what I believe. And the reason why I say that is because actually, there's not a lot of studies, even though this is an old thing. People have just started talking about GLP-1 now, but it's something that even in the bodybuilding world has been used for a long, long time. So I just wanted to preface that. If you have any questions, there's probably a lot of things that I won't be able to answer just because, like I said, I'm not an expert. And that's it. Okay. But I'm going to do my best to share my experience, my beliefs. I posted a video today on Instagram showing that I am using GLP-1. So I'm going to share about that. So a little bit of history, not story, history. La Reina. How I got in contact with GLP-1. I'm not going to say the name of the drugs, but I don't care. It's like Ozempic, Wegovy, whatever. I heard about it when I was working at the local gym here in Miami, one of the biggest gyms around. And one of my clients came like, "Oh, there's this new drug I want to try," and immediately I'm like, "I don't think it's a good idea." Like, basically not, because what's gonna do is just gonna make you lose weight, and you're gonna gain all the weight again, because it's just gonna cut your appetite temporarily, and nothing good is gonna come out of it. And she said, I'm gonna try it anyway. She tried it, she hated it, she got sick so much, and then she like, yeah, doesn't work. But then I started listening more and more about it. Oh, Ozempic and this and this and this and that. And I was like, let me get a little bit deeper into that. And I found out it was a peptide. And after I found out that, I'm like, okay, there's probably some reasoning to that. Peptides. are not drugs, but what the farm companies did is they got the peptide, they bought the rights or whatever, and they start selling it as a drug. And I'm gonna try my best to not go deep into the whole conspiracy theory about the farm industry and the food industry, but but there is something to be said that the food industry is not really just trying to nurture you. Okay. Okay. Back to my story. And I started studying more and like, oh, this actually might be good. And then I started seeing some cases and seeing some people that I follow on social media, like some doctors, some health experts, like endorsing that. I'm like, let me do some more research into that. And research is like, this actually might be a good thing. It's interesting. It's different. It's not just a drug. It actually has a deeper action on the system. It just doesn't make you lose your appetite. It goes deeper than that. And I decided to try. I never, ever, ever give anything to my clients or talk about. And once again, I'm not an expert and I'm not legally um, competent to prescribe peptides. And I would never, not even if I was, because like I said, I'm not an expert. So I would never advise on anything that I'm not an expert. I don't have 100% certainty that it will work for my clients. But I would never even have conversations with them about that had I not been using it or learned the mechanisms or felt how it feels being using it. Because full disclosure, I've been a bodybuilder for 11 years now, and I've done hormone uses. I've done steroids when I was younger, something that it came with like little to no benefits, quite honestly. And I've had experiences with coaches when I was much younger, giving me huge or wanting to give me huge doses of steroids. And thank God my boyfriend at the time, he was in med school, and he said, "You're not taking that. You're crazy." And thank God I didn't. And that's why I've been able to be doing bodybuilding for 11 years and still look like a girl. But but so I'm honest with that. So like let me try this GLP-1 thing. And I tried it first time last year around summertime. And I was going to Europe for a vacation. I was like, that's gonna be a great time to kind of understand how he acts. And of course, if I really do lose weight with it, it's gonna be amazing. And I'll tell you this, I traveled with it, I took it. When you're on vacation, you really don't pay much attention to your hunger, right? Because you're always doing stuff. And of course, I was between Spain and Greece, so I was a little bit busy, having some fun. And I really didn't feel much hunger, not at all. And of course, also something to be said about the food in Europe that really makes you satiated. You eat a little bit and you're good. You don't really need to eat a lot. And so that's it. I came back. I spent a total of 3 weeks there. When I came back to America, to my surprise, I had lost weight. And trust me, I was partying hard. I wasn't doing the diet for a competition or anything. Of course, my natural way of eating is healthy. I naturally eat higher protein diets. I naturally eat usually whole foods. I try not to eat a lot of packaged foods, especially in Spain. Like, who's gonna eat packaged foods in Spain or in Greece? You're crazy. You're out of your mind. So I eat a lot of protein, lots of vegetables, but I also drink a lot. Shocker. I was partying. But came back to America and I had lost weight. I had lost like maybe like, I don't know, 3, 4 pounds, which even if I had maintained the weight, I would have already been in shock because usually when I travel for party purposes, I gain weight because I don't train as much and I usually drink and I usually don't eat as healthy. So to my surprise, came back to America, lost weight. I was like, this feels incredible and I feel incredible. I wasn't super, super, super lean there, but I was so comfortable with my body. Like, this is fabulous. First week back in the United States, let's diet, because I want to look good for my birthday. That was um early August. My birthday is October, so like let me give you like three months to just like look sexy for my birthday. First week back in America, trying to diet, working out, doing all the right things, and I gained weight. And I was like, what the heck is going on? I already know, for those of you who don't know, I'm from Brazil. Uh, and I've had the custom of going to Europe in the last 10 years, ever since I moved here. So I am pretty aware of the differences in the food quality between America and between North America, the United States, and South America, or between the United States and Europe. I understand that. Food in Brazil makes you satiated. Food here does not make me satiated. Food in Europe leaves me super satiated with a little bit. Here, it doesn't happen. But I started paying more and more attention to that. Also, a little bit of a backstory, even I've battled with binge eating disorder for as long as I can remember. Since I started dieting like really hard when I was 21 years old, um, I Dr. Charlene up until I want to say 2018, when I really took a hold of my health and I said, I need to fix this because this is not okay. I cannot have peanut butter rule my life. And I know I did a fasting retreat. I dove deep into a health coaching course that I learned a lot about hunger, satiety, our brain gut connection, because up until then I only knew about macros, but there's so much more deeper levels than that. And so yeah, I have that past of binge eating disorder. Like I think maybe like um being an alcoholic, I don't think it's something you heal, it's something you manage. If I don't pay attention to my eating habits, eventually I will go back to eating like I used to in the past. And that's not okay because I'll never let that happen because now I'm conscious. Now I understand how food works. I understand how food hits my system. So I started putting two and two together. Okay, I go to Europe for 3 weeks, drinking, eating whatever, sleeping very little hours, not working out as much, and I lose weight and I look fabulous and I feel great. I come back to America 1 week, dieting hard, working out hard, cardioing hard, doing all the right things, and I gain weight and I feel like crap. And I was like, this food industry is really, really much worse than I thought. And once again, I already knew it wasn't good. I had no idea it was that bad. And it made me really think. We're fighting an very unfair war. And I saw that on an Instagram of a girl, and I wish I knew who it was because I would like to give her credit. Um, if I see it again, I'll make sure to give her credit because it's such a fabulous quote. It's like she said, "You're fighting an unfair war because you're trying to fight uh, a deliberate system to make you addicted to food with just willpower, and that's not okay." Because it's David and Goliath. Yes, it is. But David still beat Goliath, but he had God on his side. Yes, we do have God on our side. But still, why make it worse? And I started like really diving deep into GLP-1 and understanding the mechanisms and the benefits and following lots and lots of doctors and coaches that talk about peptide and doing even deeper research on all peptides in general. Like it's something I really want to implement in my practice because I think peptides are the future of health. And so I said, no, I really think GLP-1 can be something great. And so I gave it a try again. And I have been using it for I want to say maybe for the past 3 months. And I do it with my girl, Iani from Bella Vita Aesthetics. So she's the one who takes care of that for me. Uh, in very, very small doses. And we're not going to talk about doses here because it's not about that. I don't think it's even illegal. But I'm just saying that there's ways of doing that. Okay. That's my story with it. I've been feeling amazing as you guys have been following my prep. If you haven't, you should be. Been losing weight, been keeping the muscle, feels good. Like food, the relationship with food becomes much more normal when you're under the influence of GLP-1. That's my story. Okay. I wanted to give that little background. Now I'm going to talk about like how long have it been used? A little bit of this experience that I seen, especially on MySpace, which is bodybuilding. When we do competitions, we get to very, very, very low calorie intake. I've done shows where I had to come down to like 1,000 calories a day for an extended period, and let me tell you, that is brutal. And I wish I had known GLP-1 back then because it would make my life so much easier. Yo, it took me so many years to understand and to learn how to properly do a prep. I want to say really only it's been becoming easier since 2021. That's when I really learned and I mastered it, and now I can do easy in and out. And I cannot even state you guys how many times people come to me like they see me and they see me 2 weeks after, like, what did you change with your body? You do whatever you want with your body. Because I know how to manage now, and that GLP-1 or not, it changes, it makes it easier, but it's just about mastering the basics, which is macros, calorie in, calories out, the effect that it has on your body. So I'm saying that because GLP-1, semaglutide, has been used for bodybuilders for many years. And I go, like, I didn't know that. But on my research, I found like even like way old school, and I'm talking about like 20 years ago at least, bodybuilders have been using it because we do go to very little calorie intake. And actually, it's anecdotally, I've seen much more men using, much more guys, many more, you know what I'm saying, many more guys using it than girls, because I think their calorie restriction has to be so much bigger, because those big dudes, they're used to eating like 5,000 calories a day on off season or on bulking, and they have to reduce to 2,000 calories. Imagine like where's my light? Sorry, forgot there was a camera. Removing 10,000 calories, I'm sorry, 5,000 calories out of your daily intake. That is brutal. For me, I'm usually off season most like, okay, I have another lights. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Usually my off season, I don't think I'm over like 2,000 calories, maybe some other days, and I reduced to maybe the lowest now 1,400. So that's a little impact. Um, got nothing on me. The other light was much better though. This light, ooh, ooh. You see, that's why you go live, because you see all these crazy things that happen. If you don't do live, are you even having fun? Let me see if this gets back. If it doesn't, who cares? Who cares? I certainly don't. I used to, but anymore. That's okay. I'm all blue and all white. You guys can handle it. When I'm super famous, you guys can roast me on these videos. Look how ugly she was. Look how unprepared she was. Still, I made it. I don't care. Okay. So that's a little bit of the story, my story. Now, how long it has been used. I won't be able to tell you guys like specifically when it was created or discovered, but it has been being used for a long time. A little bit about now muscle. I know a lot of you guys. Mira, Queen Shemi, my queen, miss you. A lot of you guys people talk a lot about like muscle loss training. And actually one of the reasons why I decided to do this prep using GLP-1, of course, is gonna make my life a lot easier. A lot easier. But I want to prove people that you can keep muscle while on GLP-1. You can keep muscle. It's not mandatory that you lose muscle, but it does require effort. It does require strength training. It does require a lot of high protein intake. And honestly, I wish I had remembered where I saw this. And once again, don't quote me, like, because I do need to find an article. But I saw one of the doctors that I follow talking about, there was a study, and mind you, this is all new, so there's not going to be a lot of studies, and even the studies that are not very, how can I say, I don't want to say concrete, but they're not very robust. That's the word I was looking for. Because it does take time to do studies like that. It does take time. It does take a lot of resources. And okay, there you go. More little yellow, less blue. Perfect. This is much better. Um, but they were showing that a weight loss with GLP-1, if done properly, is very similar to a weight loss done for a bodybuilding competition. And what is that like? I have lots of fellow bodybuilders here in the house. Hope is here, Queen Shemi is here. Woo-hoo. Um, whenever you lose weight, there's always a ratio between muscle loss and fat loss, right? Omar, I am complicated. Q&A about anything just at the end of the call, okay? So there's a ratio between fat loss and muscle loss. Ideally, when you lose weight, you lose much more fat mass than you lose muscle mass. That would be the ideal world. Even better, you would lose no muscle, you just maintain your muscle and lose just body fat. That is extremely hard to do. Only people who are very obese or very, I say beginners, we call them newbies, have that kind of metabolic flexibility. But it is possible. It's not impossible. Now, like I said, if you do the GLP-1 and you're able to keep a high protein intake, a high protein intake, and you do strength training. And when I say strength training, like you really lift weights, you don't just play around, you don't go to run, you go to high rocks. No. It's lifting heavy weights to build muscles, hypertrophy focused training. You are able to keep your muscles while losing body fat. I think so far on my prep, I think I've lost maybe like 2, 3 pounds of muscles, but I'm gonna put them back because I haven't been dieting very correctly. Meaning I haven't been tracking my macros. I don't know how much protein I'm taking. I was kind of just like guesstimating how much I was eating. But now things are getting serious. 9.5 weeks from my show, so I already uh did my whole nutritional program today. I might share with you guys later. So I'm gonna increase my protein intake. I'm gonna take my training more seriously. I'm gonna recover those 3, 4 pounds that I lost of muscle. Now, why do a lot of people they lose muscle when they are on GLP-1? It's simply because they take super high doses, they lose appetite, and if you lose appetite, you don't eat. And when you go eat, of course, you're not going to go and eat a steak or a piece of chicken or eggs. You're going to eat something that feels light on your stomach because if you're feeling some sort of like not motion sickness. If you're feeling like you want to throw up or a little dizzy or something, you don't feel like eating anything heavy. Once again, that is very dose dependent. Most people that go, they go super high, super fast, and I think that's where the problem lies. Okay, so another thing that I was gonna say and check off our list of today. You don't necessarily need to lose muscle while on GLP-1. You just need to know how to take it and a dose correct enough so you're able to still bear to eat an adequate amount of food. So the whole thing for GLP-1 is I think a lot of people they lose traction of what it really is. I don't want you taking GLP-1 or any other thing in order to completely mask whatever you're feeling. I actually had this conversation today with a girl on our DMs. The whole purpose is not for you to completely go on autopilot and forget that you are in charge of your health. Because that's what a lot of people want to think. They just want to like just deliver that to someone like, please take all my appetite. I don't want to have to think about food. I just want to lose weight. But that's incorrect because food is such a huge part of our lives. Food is such a huge part of our society. We use food to celebrate. We use food to mourn. We use food to cope with bad feelings. We use food to celebrate good things. Like food is part of our life. You need food to survive. Therefore, if you don't know how to behave around food, if you don't know how to have self-control over food, you're going to be forever trapped. So GLP-1 is not a mechanism or any other drug is not a mechanism for you to numb yourself from food, but to make it easier for you to understand the impact that food has on you. So let's say if you're taking a super, super high dose, you're not going to want to eat food and you're going to be sick and you're going to get weak and then you're going to get even sicker. Now, if you use the correct dose, what that's going to allow you to is first take off that constant nudging of food in your mind because I know I've had it and I know a lot of you guys have it too because I work with lots of people and the complaints are very, very similar. Like people are constantly thinking about food. Why is that? Is it because you're weak? No, it's because the food industry makes you want to have that. The food industry purposely, I told you I wasn't gonna go on conspiracy theory, but just a little dab on it. The food industry purposely makes the food more crunchy, more salty, more sweet, and more empty of calories in a way that you are constantly desiring more food. You eat and you're immediately hungry again because that food, even though it was full of calories, had little to no zero nutrients. So your brain can't quite understand. It's like, okay, we got the energy, calories, but we didn't get the nutrients. So I still need to eat more because I really need the nutrients. I need the energy too, but I really need the nutrients. So make more food, make more food. In this way, your body just keeps releasing hunger hormones. So like, I need to eat more, I need to eat more. And that's where everything go shit hits the fan. Um, so GLP-1 or any other drug you decide to use regarding that is not supposed to numb you. It's supposed to bring you back to control of what you eat, when you eat, how much of it do you eat. And it's a beautiful thing when you're like in control. You can sit at a restaurant and understand that, like, I don't need to eat everything that you put in front of me. I don't need to eat everything that's on the plate. I don't need to be thinking about dessert while I'm still eating the appetizer. Or even like when you get home and it's at night and you feel that craving, you feel like, I feel like I could eat a chocolate. You might even feel the urge, but you're gonna think like, you know what? I'm really not hungry, even though I feel like it. It's a brain thing. It's a psychological hunger. Physiologically, your body's like, no, we're good. We don't need energy right now. And that for me, that's the role that GLP-1 should have over people in a way that just like make them recover that control and that power over food that has been long lost, at least here in this beautiful country of the United States of America. Then hopefully now things are changing with, the politics and administration. We're not going to talk about politics here. Don't worry. I'm not going to go there. It's too complicated. But all I'm saying is I'm seeing that people are at least now getting worried about the impact the food industry has in the general health of the population. So hopefully, we're going to see some changes coming. But in the meantime, we need to do our role, okay? We might be able to cover everything. We might be able to cover everything. We talked about willpower, we talked about food quality. Um, just a little bit deeper on that food quality thing. There's our gut is really our second brain, right? And when we call the brain gut connection, that is not just a form of expression, it's a real thing. We have neuroreceptors in our gut. A lot of the things that happen in our brain are directly connected to our digestive system. We can go so much deep into that connection, but I'll tell you like this, even this little funny thing that helps a lot of people. It takes about 20 minutes for your brain to acknowledge that you have food in your gut, in your belly, in your stomach. So what happens with a lot of us too, like even talking about binge eating disorder and overeating and not and losing control over food is we sit down to eat. When we sit down to eat, because a lot of us, most of us, if not all of us, me included, we're always eating on the gun, on the go, eating on the run. We don't take time for a meal. Maybe your food, your whole thing lasts about 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 10 minutes. You eat and then you're on the go. What happens is you think you finished your meal and your brain is there still not understanding, like your brain hasn't received the message that, okay, we're full, there's food in the system, we can't stop producing hunger hormones, we don't need more food. Now by the end of the 20 minutes, like your brain's still gonna like be craving that, and you're going to delay this whole process of like your gut cells communicating with your brain and triggering like suspend hunger hormones, start releasing satiety hormones. We don't need more food. And when all those things start happening, you start losing the real perception of what it means being full. So you're constantly wanting to eat. You eat something, and 30 minutes after, like, I need to eat again, and I need to eat again. Why? One, we eat too fast. Second is, like I said, foods are getting more and more less nutritious. That sounded very wrong grammatically, but I know you understand me. And I recently saw a data saying that because you think like, okay, they're making packaged foods very addictive. It's easy because I don't eat packaged foods. Well, honey, darling, newsflash for you. even Whole Foods, they're doing that. For example, I saw a study recently that fruits, and there were some specific fruits that I can't remember. The fruits they have been making, like modifying them, even the not genetic modifying, but they have been setting out to produce the seeds to make the fruits more sweet than they already are, than they naturally are. They're trying to change God's creation. Oh my Lord, forgive us. Making fruits even more sweet than they should be or they or naturally are. And what does that do? The sweeter something is, the higher the ends the your insulin is gonna hit. You're gonna have a huge peak of glycemic. And then after this is so high up, it's gonna drop like a cannonball. And that's when you feel like I need to eat again. And I need to eat again. Because with the whole food industry is just trying to make you eat more and more and more and more. And in all reality is we don't need all that food. We've been eating so much and we waste so much food. And I'm not gonna say just in this country, but in the whole uh Western society, we waste so much food. And I really don't need that much. People have been eating and eating and increasing. Dishes have been getting bigger and bigger, but less and less nutritious. So there's a lot to be said of understanding how the food affects us and how to just learn how to eat maybe a little bit less. And also understanding that being a little bit hungry, it's okay. Just because you're hungry doesn't mean you need to run to the fridge and eat something. It's like I tell all my clients, what if you're outside, you're out and about somewhere at a restaurant and it's cold and you don't have a jacket, what do? You do nothing. You feel the cold and you know your body's gonna adapt to it and you're gonna acclimate, right? It's the same thing with hunger. A lot of times we're so um used to, I need lotion, Sage. We're so used to um satisfying as fast as possible anything that we need that we feel a little bit hungry, like, I need to eat. We feel a little bit like, oh my gosh, I need to eat. And that's like also that's gonna messing us up because whenever you feel hunger and you need to eat, your body's just gonna keep like releasing that hunger hormones constantly and constantly, and you're gonna be so dependent on that. No, learn how to regulate. And also hunger hormones, it comes in peaks. If you get hungry now, it doesn't mean you're gonna be hungry for the rest of your day if you don't eat. You have a peak of hunger hormone, you don't eat, the peak is gonna go, okay, not now, maybe in 1 hour. Gonna try again. So I'm not saying this is, we study a lot of about that when you talk about fasting, which is not what we're doing here. But just so you know, there's a huge role in that also learning how to be hungry. And GLP-1 will help you or can help you if it's done at the right dose of feeling that hunger, but being at a manageable level. Because what I've experienced both with me and my clients is without GLP-1, the hunger that you feel is so extreme and it's so intense that it's like almost you can't control, right? Who's experienced that? I certainly have. But with GLP-1, it's like, oh, I'm hungry, but it's okay. Angel, we're gonna talk about this in a second, okay, my love? Hang on. Um, so it's more manageable and you learn how like, okay, I'm hungry, but it's okay. I can be hungry a little. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Pa, 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 pa. Let's talk about Angel talked about the quality of peptides. That's our last topic. And then we're going to open for questions, okay? Angel asks, how do you ensure peptide quality? Everyone seems to be on the peptide train, but not all are pure. You're 100% right, Angel. The peptide train is real. I really, really believe in that, but it is an issue of quality and supplier. I was actually doing a little bit of a deeper dive today in peptides from FDA approved pharmacies and compound pharmacies, which is something tricky, but also no, it goes back to the pharma industry that tries to just shove down pills on everybody. And peptide is really something, it's there's no regulation or very little regulation. And it's really a matter of you doing your due diligence in finding a good supplier with your doctor or with whoever is advising you in your peptide journey, whether it's for healing your joints, whether it's for your skin. I'm actually like studying a lot from skin. I'm gonna start using peptides on my face and on my thighs and on my. I'll tell you about it. And peptides also have action like that in like in your gut, in your digestion, in your uh, hunger hormone signaling on your brain. I would advise there's a lot of research tools that you can find on Google. Actually, what was the video I was watching today? Is I think the guy's the director of like this conglomerate of compound pharmacies, and it says like you can Google whatever the lab is, where does it come from, where's the source, and is it like does it has any complaints? Just like you would do with a regular doctor, right? Let's say if you go to a doctor for the first time, you don't just Google a doctor and you call and you make an appointment. You're gonna find reviews. You're gonna try to call. You're gonna see if it does it has any any lawsuits against him. Like you do your due diligence. It's the same thing with quality of peptides. You need to check the labs. You need to check the, excuse me, the where the source is coming from, and then try it out. I now tell you this. I've done. It wasn't GLP-1. I used it on the peptide, which I'm not gonna remember which one was it, but it was for fat loss. Maybe like around 3 years ago. I did it with a clinic here in Miami, and it was like a 3 month program. And first month, the first vial was great. I thought it was amazing. It felt super good. The second vial, I felt nothing. It was almost like it was making me worse than it was helping me. And I was like, and I noticed it, the same clinic gave me two vials for the same substance coming from two different labs. And I was like, oh, this is not cool huh, because now I feel like this is not working. And then I don't know, like, I don't want to do the third one because God knows what's gonna do. So, like, and it's a big clinic here in South Beach, okay? It's a big clinic here in South Beach, famous one. And I was like, oof, that is dangerous. So definitely we have to take care of that and pay attention to that, okay? And with that, I'm going to wrap it up. I said didn't even try to close this in 30 minutes, so open for questions. I knew it's going to become a little longer, but I just figured there is a lot to cover. We're open for questions now. Everybody wants to send questions via Zoom, via TikTok, via Instagram. It's my first time ever doing TikTok live. I have no idea how it works or if anybody can even say anything. Um, but there you go. Any questions, anybody? Any questions? Send them along. And it can be questions for about GLP-1, can be questions about anything, right? Cardio, training. Somebody here was asking if I was single. And the answer is I am. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see on TikTok. Any questions on Zoom? If you don't have any questions, we're gonna wrap it up. We're gonna wrap it up. You have 30 seconds. 30 seconds for questions. Guys, you should use me so much more. I am here to answer all your questions about anything fitness related, and you don't ask questions. You should come with a list of 10 questions. What is this? Is this good? What should I do for this? What about cardio? What's the best exercise for butt? Blah, blah. But now you lost it. Ah, Queen Shemi. Does your provider take remote calls for consultation? Yes, she does. Yes, she does. She's licensed nationwide. I'll connect you with her, my love. As soon as this is done, I will send a DM between both of you. And let me tell you, she's gonna compete. She's gonna compete at Worlds. So amazing. Fabienne is asking, do you have to take it forever? No, no, I don't think so, Fabienne. I think it's the probably the best way to do it is cycling. You take for a while and then you stop, take for a while and then you stop. Also, like there's some people who take micro dosing because it seems to have a huge like anti-inflammatory effect, which is great for our body. So I think if you're doing micro dosing, you could maybe take it for longer periods without having to stop. But I think it's always good like to come in and out of things. I don't like to take anything all the time because I like to understand how my body feels naturally, not just because I feel like there's anything wrong with taking stuff and supplements. I think those are there to help us. But I think a lot of times supplements, hormones, peptides, whatever, they can mask some things that your body is fighting against. So I personally, I like to come in and off of things. I'll do that even with creatine, not for anything, just I get tired of drinking, so I'll come off a little bit. Come on, vitamin C, anything. So probably I think my advice, even though this is not advice, um, would be to kind of cycle. Maybe do 3 weeks on, 1 week off, a month on, 2 weeks off. Maybe, and then like it can even help you become more and more aware of the effects that it's having and not of like the effects when you're not on it. Like when I stop taking, I start getting like all those crazy cravings again. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is real. Let me start get it back on it, okay? Diana, mi reina. I have Crohn's, and my doctor said it could actually help. I've seen a lot of these, my love, because like I said, it does have an anti-inflammatory effect, especially on microdosing. And a lot of those autoimmune disease, it's that like it's your body fighting its own, and it's due to inflammation. So, if I were you, I would jump on that wagon and just try it out, as fast as you can, because even like you're in prep, it can be so helpful, so helpful. Angel, my love, remind me because once we're done with the live, just send me another DM, the last one message we connected, so I'll connect you with her as well, okay? Bum. Bye, Faith. IFB Pro. Love you. There you go, mi amor. Me too. And I was just why suffer? Now I was just actually watching a documentary today about it. Documentary, aka YouTube video. I cracked myself up. My YouTube documentary saying that I completely forgot what I was saying. Oh Jesus, sorry, just laugh at myself. Completely forgot what I was gonna say. But that's fine. That's fine. No problem. Fabian is saying probably very good for menopausal women, extremely good for menopausal women, extremely good because not only helps you control your cravings, it's good, like I said, anti-inflammatory effect. It helps. There's some reports that say like it helps with like joint pain, and a lot of the bad things that come with menopause. It's the weight gain. So if you can control the weight gain, Dr. Lane Norton, he says a lot. Like I studied a lot of his books and his whole approach over fat loss and everything, and he says that a lot of the benefits that we get when we lose weight is not necessarily because of the diet or because of the exercise, but it's because of the actual less fat content in your body. So if you're talking to someone like yourself, who have lost like 30, 40 pounds, like you're much healthier today. Yes, a little bit is because you're moving more, a little bit is because you're eating better, but a lot of it is because you're just not carrying that excess amount of fat cells in your body. That's extremely inflammatory. It's extremely harmful for your whole body health, but also for your brain health. People talk about like now obesity as a no, as it as a I'm gonna say something silly here. I'm not gonna say it because I might mess it up in this sensitive topic, so I'm just gonna shut down. But yeah, I don't see a lot of people talking about the the deep effect that obesity and high levels of fat cells has on your brain and your cognition. And let me tell you, whenever I travel outside of Miami, Miami is a different institution, it's a different country, basically. Whenever I go to real America, that I see a lot of people who are dealing with a lot of super high fat content in their body, like real big time obesity. I'm sorry, you can see that the brain synapses are not just the same. Not to say that they're dumb, not to say that anything is not detrimental, it's not against them, it's against the fat that they're carrying. Fat makes you move slower, everything in your body, not just physically, but like there's huge effect in how your brain works. So, aye. Any more questions, everybody? A lot of people joining in right now. I'm curious to see how this TikTok thing is gonna work. Hello, Instagram. Thank you guys for the questions. Thank you for participating. Everybody wants to connect with my girl, Iani. Send me a DM after this, and I'll connect you guys from Bella Vita Aesthetics here in Miami, downtown. Girls on Zoom, thank you so much for being here. You are the best. If you like to be on the Zoom, I will soon stop broadcasting those on TikTok and Instagram. Okay, I'm just trying to do like because I want to see. I'm trying some things, but these calls are going to be broadcasted to Zoom only. So if you want to jump on the wagon, send me your email so I can add you to the list so you'll never lose a call. And they're going to be uploaded tomorrow on YouTube. But the thing is, when you're live, you can ask questions. If you're not live, you lose all the fun. Okay? So thank you, everybody. Have a beautiful night. We're back next week, same time, same place, same link. Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Love you. God bless you all.